Hello everybody and welcome to Watch Dan Reviews. This is my second take. I recorded 30 minutes of footage yesterday, and after I started piecing it all together, I realized I had my camera upright, not in widescreen. So here we go again, round two, Ginault Silent Service. So I'll just go ahead and get started. This is the box that it comes in. Comes with a couple cool things. Comes with this very nice tool here. And if you're like me, you like a good, solid tool for fixing or changing out your watch links. The reason being a cruddy, cheap tool can ding up and scratch up your screws. So this is perfectly sized for removing the screws on this exact watch. And it does a great job, and it's well made. It's nice and heavy. It's about 30 grams. I weighed it. So yeah, very nice tool. In the back here, we have a microfiber towel, which I'll go ahead and show you. It's a very nice little cloth. It comes branded with Ginault on it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out of its plastic sleeve here, so I can use it to keep this watch nice and clean. Very nice little cloth, guys. In the back, we have the Ginault stamp of approval, which is going to show you the measurements for the 6 weeks of regulation they do on this watch with the Sellita SW200. I appreciate that the advertised, the actual power reserve is 40 hours versus the advertised 38, so that's really nice. Minus 0.6 at week 6, that's very accurate. Right now I'm at minus 0.8 in my measuring of this watch, so less than a second per day slow. That's very impressive. That's Rolex territory, guys. So that's just a little card they give you. Over here, limited warranty information, and it has all, the serial number, model number, movement number, etc. My serial number being PB089. I'm just assuming that's number 89 of the Ginault Silent Services that have a diver bezel and a Cyclops date, which makes this a very limited watch. So I'll go ahead and jump right into it, guys. Comes on a nice little pillow. I have a link and a half removed here, so that's a little snug on my pillow. This is just where I house my extra link and a half. Throw that aside. Let me get this thing off its pillow. So if you saw my other review, I compared this watch to the Manta Ocean King and the Christopher Ward C60 Trident Pro 300, and I declared that this watch was the victor for a number of reasons. So I'll go ahead and go over those reasons today, and I'll try to get as many good shots as I can of this watch for you guys so you can see just why I like it so much and why I think it's an awesome watch. I'm gonna set it down real quick so I can get on my trusty white glove here. And I'm gonna try to keep this thing as clean as I can today. So I'm gonna wear my glove, and then I'm gonna hold my microfiber towel in the other hand. So starting out, this is a really cool watch, and there's a number of reasons I really like this watch. First and foremost, the way that the light catches off this dial and these indices, I really want to try to show you guys that, but it's very hard to catch it. You get a little glimpse of it right there on the top. You can see how the indices just shine. They are rhodium plated and diamond cut, and it's the shape of them and the shininess of them that really make them sort of unique in this watch. The dial is sort of a deep glossy black, and you can see that it says kinetic continuous date. Just the layout of the text on this dial is it's kind of silly almost. It's a reminiscent of what you'd get on a Rolex. Instead of kinetic continuous date, you have Oyster perpetual date. Silent service down below. The text is very nicely done. You can see a little shine to the Silent Service right there. Obviously that would be Submariner, 1,000 feet, 300 meters, submersible maritime, and then precision chronometer. And precision chronometer is in place of superlative chronometer. Now the funny thing about it is it's actually pretty darn close to my Rolex in terms of timekeeping. Being less than a second slow per day, my Rolex is basically right there. So although it's not COSC certified in Switzerland, it is regulated, heavily regulated, and it's keeps very good time. The mid case of this watch is kind of this slab side, and you can see that it tapers inward at the top a little bit, and what that does is it makes it much easier to grip that awesome bezel. The finishing on the mid case is world class. I don't know if it's quite black polished, but it's maybe just a step or two below. It has a very nice little bevel on the top, very similar to some of the older Rolexes when they used to have that little bevel there. I know a lot of the Tudors have that these days. That bevel and the polishing are hand done. That's hand polished. So you don't even get that kind of attention on watches that cost a lot more than this. For instance, the Manta, the Christopher Ward, those are just made by machine. They have a production line, and the watch is made, and it's cookie cutter, and it's done by machine. This watch is done by hand, so you won't get that kind of attention to detail, in a watch, unless you're spending a lot more money. There might be some hand finishing in a Rolex, I don't know for sure, but you just aren't going to get that kind of attention to detail. And that's one thing that makes this watch very unique. Hand built in America, so the case back, which I'll try to show you here. The case back, the mid case, the bezel, and the crown are all manufactured right here in America, and they're all hand finished at the Ginault studio, which may just be a workshop in somebody's house for all we know, but it doesn't matter. The fact that it's done is what matters. The bracelet is made overseas in China. It's a fantastic bracelet. You can see those screws in there are polished and they're flush, and they're polished and flush on each side. So the back side, to me, that's a sign of quality, when the back side of the screws is perfectly flush like that. The clasp is an unbranded traditional beacon hook style Rolex clasp. It's sort of just a knockoff, but it's a very well done clasp. You have polished swing arms on the inside, bead blasted in the center, and again that beacon hook system works very well. Go ahead and close this up so you can see. Good reassuring click, and it's very solid once it's shut. Yesterday when I was recording this video, I recorded about 40 minutes of footage, but I decided to keep this one a little bit shorter, so I'm not going to go too crazy here. The crown has the Ginault rose on it, which is very nicely done. And when it unthreads, you can see that there's a gasket right inside there. So this should be something like a trip lock crown. When it winds very smoothly. It's similar to any other SW200 winding that I've come across. They're all kind of the same when you wind them, but they are not all the same when you thread them up. And this one feels really nice. It's very easy to thread, and it gets stuck at the end, which is nice because you don't have to worry about it coming loose. You have a Cyclops date, which makes it legible from an arm's length. It's easy to read what the date is. I appreciate that because I'm always having to quote the date to people with my job. The bezel is my favorite part of this watch. It is so nice. Just take a listen. feels like a Seiko bezel. Oops, sorry camera. Feels like a Seiko bezel, but with more pronounced clicks. Lines up perfectly every time and everywhere. Going back to those indices, in my correspondence with Ginault, one of the reasons this watch takes 6 to 8 weeks to receive is because they can only finish a couple of them a week. The indices and the hands are put on there by hand. They line up perfectly, and they're filled to the brim with lume. And I'll make sure I get you guys a good lume shot toward the end of this video. But the legibility of this watch is phenomenal. It's top notch. It's the most legible watch that I currently own. And that's just one of the reasons I can't take it off the wrist. I don't even want to wear my Omega these days, guys. I just like wearing this watch. I'd love to get it in for a comparison against a real Rolex. It's been called, 9/10 of a Rolex for 1/10 the price. Having never held a Submariner, I don't know for sure if that's the case. But I do know that I really, really like this watch. I think it's just a really, really good watch. A lot of attention to detail. I think the fact that it's hand-built in America, that is scarce. The fact that, Hamilton used to be American-owned and Monta is American-owned, but they're made in Switzerland. So where do you get a watch that's American-made? Maybe you can comment down below and let me know of some other ones. There may be a couple, but this is a rarity. So if you're on the fence about buying one of these, I would recommend doing it because, the pre-order price is a few $100s less. I paid $1,300. It's going to jump up to like $1,700, I believe, once the phase 1 pre-order pricing is over. And then they may just discontinue this one day, and then this watch is going to be hard to find. So if you're on the fence, just go ahead and do it. The tolerances between the case and the lugs, there's no daylight if I hold it up. I'd like to pull the bracelet off because it's got kind of a unique feature about it, so I can show you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video real quick and pull this off the bracelet so you can take a look. Okay, so I took the bracelet off. It was a little easier this time than it was yesterday, but I wanted to show you the end links of this bracelet are a hybrid of a solid end link and a hollow end link. The only reason I think they would do that is to help get those perfect tolerances where there's no daylight between the end links and the lugs. But it's kind of interesting. I thought maybe you guys would want to see that. So as far as I know, nobody else has done that. So that's the bracelet. One of the reasons they can't put made in America is because parts like this are from overseas. It's a great spring bar, but in order to put made in America, the spring bar would have to be made in America, the gaskets would have to be made in America, every little part, the crystal, so they just can't afford to do that, which I understand. Maybe they could if it was a $10,000 watch, but not for this, not even close to this price point. So I give them a little grace in that regard. You can see the inside of the lugs there. Kind of interesting. Get you a good pick of that case back since the bracelet's off of there. It's laser engraved. It's sufficient, I would say. It's definitely not as good as some of my other watches, but whatever. I don't care. That's not an important thing to me. So 89 of 112. All right, just wanted to show that to you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it again. Okay, I'm back. Bracelet's on. I'm gonna go ahead and do a weigh-in real quick. So I'm gonna get my trusty scale and get this thing on here. We're coming in at 130 or 143.9, so it's 144 grams. So for a 41 millimeter dive watch, that's pretty svelte. Maybe it's those hybrid hollow end links. All right, guys, so I could talk about this watch for 45 more minutes, but I know I need to keep this short. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do some lume shots now. So bear with me. I kind of like the idea of doing real world testing rather than, shutting my lights off and showing you how bright it is. So what I'll probably do is just kind of carry it with me into a darker part of my house. And because it's daytime, the only part of my house that's dark is the bathroom. So bear with me, guys. Okay, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and head on into a slightly darker part of my house here. And we'll see what this thing looks like in the dark. Right there, you can see we're already kind of heading into usage of lume territory here. But let me go ahead and shut this door so you can get an idea of just how insane the lume is on the Ginault Silent Service. There we go. Keep in mind, this is not charged up with my UV flashlight. This is just, ambient lume from walking around the house during the daytime. If I charged it up, it'd be bright enough that you could read the logo on there, but I think this is sufficient to get the idea. Brighter than any other watch that I have right now, or that I have ever owned for that matter. Super legible. Love that the minute markers are illuminated as well. At nighttime, it makes it just, super easy to read exactly how much time has elapsed. So that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you sticking with me. If you like what you saw, just leave me a comment, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so that I know that I need to make more watch videos for you guys. Everybody have a wonderful day. Bye now.